Okay guys, so I am out here with the Teton TTC. Let you guys take a good look at this rod when it's assembled. I have 2-pound mono on, and I'm at this little creek here. It's a perfect place to fish these tiny little lures. And I brought a bag of tiny micro lures here. And we're going to start out with the trout magnet. Okay, we're going to start out with this color here. Basically, we're just going to see if this thing will even load up this lure. Now, the only thing in this creek are little, I guess, creek shiners or chubs or whatever. Now, I am putting on a little snap swivel just to make the lure changes a lot easier, but it will add to the weight. All right, so amazingly I can feel that trout magnet flexing that tip. So just to let you guys see if you can see that. Looks like a pretty fast tip to me. Hopefully you guys can see that, but okay, so let's set this Revo up. And I have to remember this spool tension is kind of tricky on this Revo. You think you're tightening it, but it's not doing anything. Okay, so the trout magnet is actually moving the spool. And let's turn these brakes all the way to maximum. Wow, these creek chubs are jumping. I don't know if you guys can see that, but I put the magnet configuration exactly how like Abu Garcia Japan said to do it, with lures under 3 grams. Let me show you what I mean. That means they said to put all 5 of the 1.5 millimeter magnets on and put only 4 of the 3 millimeter magnets and leave 1 open. So since they designed this reel, I'm going to assume they know what they're talking about for now. And all right, let's see what happens. Now I wish they would have made this handle a little bit longer, because it feels kind of weird. Okay, so that cast went way off to the left. So I'm gonna loosen this up a couple of clicks. I'm gonna back off the brakes a little. 2 clicks. Crap, and I got hung up in a tree. All right, let's see if this will work. It went off to the left again. All right, let's cast, let's do an overhead, see what happens. Okay, so that, you saw that land, it probably went about barely 10 feet. But the action in the water of this trout magnet is pretty good. Okay, I think the brakes are still too tight. Okay, distance is going up. Distance is definitely going up. Need to keep backing these brakes down. Of course, I'm not swinging very hard, so the spool speed is not going up. So I really don't need to worry about backlash that much. All right, I got to keep adjusting my release point. Let's go this way. Okay, that was... I can feel the rod loading up the lure. I can definitely feel it on my backswing that the rod is loading up. Now that backlash happened because the lure hit the water so fast I couldn't react. Okay, let's try again. Okay, so that went about a good, maybe almost 20 foot. So I think we're onto something here. I'm gonna back it off 2 more clicks. Hopefully you guys can see where this thing's landing. Okay, so overhead cast is definitely doable, but the sidearm is what I want. Okay. So with a bit more forceful swing, sidearm is definitely doable. All right, let's see if I can hit the edge of that shadow line there. I'm gonna back the brakes off a little bit more. Well, it's definitely getting the spool moving. It's just the accuracy is gonna be bad. So it's gonna take some practice. Okay, so I'm getting close to that shadow line there. I'm gonna mean my shadow line, the shadow line that's being created by that bridge. Okay. All right, now I'm getting the hang of it. I think this rod is definitely gonna work, guys. If I'm waiting in the river for trout, I think this is definitely gonna work. Okay, so I think I'm definitely getting close to hitting about 20 foot so far. Not a hint of overrun. There, I hope you guys saw that, but I hit the shadow line a couple of feet past it. All right. So this Revo LTX is casting this 1 gram lure, probably close to 10 yards. Let's see if I can hit the bank. Nope. Need to back the brakes off some more. 2 more clicks. Okay. All right, so I got to overrun there. So I think I'm on the lower limit of the brake setting. So I'm gonna turn it back up 1 click. Now, just to let you guys know, I didn't fill the spool up all the way. I only filled it up about halfway. That's the thing with this light line is you get wind knots really bad, pretty easily. Okay, I'm gonna turn the brakes up 1 more click. I think this is probably gonna be the best setting. All right, let me see if I can hit that shadow line. Okay, yeah, real easy. Had to overrun, so I'm gonna go back down 1 click. You got to be quick on the thumb with these lures because they don't fly far and they'll hit the water in a split second. Okay, let's see if I can do a good sidearm cast and hit that shadow line. Oh shit. Well, I definitely hit the shadow line, but The cast went off to the left. There we go. Back to the bait finesse basics, just a nice easy stroke. And this trout magnet, I can see why this thing catches trout. Wow, these shiners are jumping. But they're not paying attention to this lure. Let me see if I can snag one in there. I don't think these things can open their mouth big enough to get one of these. All right, let's do a couple more casts. Let's go this way. Okay, I'm going to back up and see if I can hit that that shadow area. Okay, so this reel is definitely casting about 30 feet. You just have to adjust your release point. There we go. Hopefully you guys can see where that landed. So I'm impressed. This rod, while I doubt it will be able to cast 0.3 grams, it definitely handles 1 gram with no problem. You just have to be quick on the draw with your thumb. Okay, I'm going to turn the brakes up one more click. Maybe I can slow that spool down a little bit. There you go. Yeah, I'm definitely hitting 30 foot. No doubt about it. And that's the goal. So first off, I'm really impressed with this rod, and I'm really impressed with this reel. This is stock out of the box, and I'm planning on doing that bait finesse shootout tomorrow against ALDEBARAN and SS Air, and I think this reel is going to just dominate everybody, to be honest. All right, a couple more casts. Okay, you can actually just really fire these casts out there. You will need a lot of brake though. I kind of put a little bit of effort in that cast and it went out there pretty good. Okay, I'm getting it now. So once you gain some confidence, you can actually fire this lure out with no problem. The half-hearted swing is probably what's causing you not to be accurate. So when I'm putting some speed into the swing, I'm more accurate. Yeah. All right, I get it now. Wow. Okay, guys. I think I found the secret to this rod. Yep, I'm just firing these casts out now. Hopefully you guys can see where they're landing. Oh, shit. Yeah, that was my mistake. Now, a couple of years ago, actually about 5 years ago, this place was teeming with big shiners, creek chubs, and some decent size red eye or a rock bass. And they're all gone now. Either someone fished them out or they just moved on due to a flood. All right, let me see if I can fire out an overhead cast. Oh yeah. So 30 feet is definitely doable. Definitely doable. So I just have to wait for all the water to drain where I fish for trout, so that the river can go to normal, so I can actually go fishing. See if I can catch a trout on this thing. That's the next step, is to be able to catch a fish on this thing and just see how much of a fight it puts up, how much this rod can handle. Yep, I'm firing this thing a good 30 feet. I just have to keep the brakes up. Okay, wind is actually coming in. I'm gonna go this way. So that is definitely doable, guys. Okay, back this way. I'm gonna back up. So that's at least 30 feet to the shadow area. So let's see if this thing can hit it. Yep. Needs more brake though. Okay, so I think I figured out how to fish this rod and this really tiny line for my style of fishing. I don't like to do half-assed lob casts if I can help it. So I'm going to turn the brakes up and do the casting like how I normally cast, which tends to be on the faster, whippier side. But I want to be comfortable. Okay, so that cast was definitely more controlled, but the distance was off. There we go. So I was one click away from maximum. Okay, there we go, guys. I fired that thing out there. Hopefully you guys can see where this thing's landed. Oh shit. I got a little bit overzealous there. That is definitely doable. Wow, it's getting farther and farther. This is definitely going probably close to 40 foot maybe. Such an impressive rod and reel. Okay guys, now before we talk about what happened out at that creek, I wanted to address an issue about this rod after reading the comments. Now it turns out they're not offering this rod on AliExpress anymore. A lot of people said. So I went to my AliExpress account, and there's an option for you to reorder any item that you've ordered before with just like the press of a button. And I went to this rod, and it does appear that they are not selling this anymore, which is really unfortunate. Now, I did some research, and it looks like this was a limited edition, limited run. But there's some good news. There was a commenter who left a comment saying that they will restock these rods after the Chinese New Year. And the Chinese New Year, I think, starts February the 5th, if I'm not mistaken. So after the Chinese New Year holiday, check back on AliExpress to see if they will have these rods in stock. And I'll be definitely checking myself, as I think I'm going to buy a couple more, or maybe 10 more, because I'm really impressed at how this rod performed. Okay guys, so I popped the scale out, and the reason I'm doing this is because I'm going to weigh the trout magnet with the little snap swivel I was using. Now this is a different color trout magnet, but it's the exact same snap swivel. It's a size 24, and it did add a little bit of weight to the trout magnet, but let's see how much. Okay, according to the scale, it added probably 1/10 of a gram to the trout magnet, so not much weight at all, but it did make it a little bit heavier. But that being said, I was really impressed at how well this combo handled casting the trout magnet. And to be honest, I expected to fail really hard when I went to that creek, and the first few casts were complete failures. The lure just went to the left really far, typical of a reel that's got its brakes turned up too high and whatnot. But as I gain more confidence and experience, I can tell you this: the best way to throw this trout magnet or lure about this weight in this shape is to put more force into your cast. Now the rod itself, despite being thin as a toothpick, it's pretty stiff. Now what saves it is this tip. Now hopefully you guys saw the action and the tip action in the video, but the tip is really flexible, but then it gets into the backbone pretty quick, so you have to really load up your cast and do a nice confident fast stroke to properly load up this rod to cast a lure like this a good distance and with accuracy. So when I was kind of half-assing my casting stroke, kind of doing the bait finesse basics and just kind of doing a nice easy swing, the distance was okay and the accuracy was okay, but when I really fired it out there, that's when this combo came to life and started proving its worth. Now I doubt this thing is really gonna load up and cast 0.3 grams like the rod rating says, but for what my purpose is, casting this little lure for trout at a big river, it's gonna work perfectly. Now also, I was very surprised at how this Revo LTX performed. And let's talk about that. Now in the past, I've attempted to cast trout magnets before with pretty much all my bait finesse reels, especially my high-end ones, and they've all resulted in my opinion, failures, because the rods I was using, the JDM BFS rods with that 1/32 ounce wall that I mentioned, could not load this little lure. But now that I've paired up this Revo, which has the lightest stock spool of any reel ever made, with this really ultra radical rod, I was able to achieve the goal of being able to comfortably cast this trout magnet a fishable distance. But I will say this, it was kind of inconsistent. I don't know if it was the brakes or the fact that I was just in such tight quarters, and I think I can do better. I think I can do better than even this Revo LTX. And let me show you what I mean. Okay guys, so while the Revo LTX performed great and is probably the best stock bait finesse reel out there as far as pure casting performance, I think I can actually do better, and that will involve the SHIMANO ALDEBARAN BFS and this, the Avail 16 ALD 15R ultra lightweight spool. And this is for the ALDEBARAN. Now, the reason I picked this spool is because it is the lightest spool that I've ever seen made for any reel. And we're going to talk about that in another video. So be on the lookout for that.